In our journey through life, we often search for a secret key, a magic formula that will unlock the doors to success, happiness, and fulfillment. We believe that if only we had more money, a better education, a different job, or more luck, everything would fall into place. But what if I told you that the most powerful force for change in your entire life isn't something external you have to find, but something internal you already possess? What if the one thing holding you back from achieving your goals, finding deep satisfaction, and earning what you're truly worth isn't your background, your education, or your intelligence? What if it's something you have complete and total control over, right now, in this very moment? Today, we're going to dive deep into a book that acts as a blueprint for mastering this force. We are piling up the incredible wisdom from Jeff Keller's timeless classic, Attitude is Everything. This isn't just a book, it's a manual for rewiring your mind. The author, Jeff Keller, wasn't born a beacon of positivity. For years, he was a successful lawyer, living the life he thought he was supposed to want. But on the inside, he was miserable. He dreaded his work, his health was suffering, and he felt trapped, seeing no way out. One evening, sitting alone and burned out, he cried out in frustration, "There's got to be more to my life than this misery and unhappiness." That very night, in a moment of desperation, he stumbled upon a television infomercial for a personal development program. In an act completely out of character, he ordered it. And that decision, that single moment, became the turning point that changed his entire life. He discovered a simple but profound truth that took him from being a frustrated lawyer to a celebrated motivational speaker, inspiring thousands around the globe. The truth he discovered is what we are going to explore today, that by changing your attitude, you absolutely, unequivocally change your life. So get comfortable, open your mind, and prepare to discover how the window through which you see the world determines everything you will ever be, do, and have. Let's begin with a simple story. Imagine a coffee shop on a busy afternoon. Two people, Sarah and Sam, walk in separately and sit at different tables. They are both served by the same waitress. They both wait about the same time, and their checks are delivered with the same promptness. On the surface, their experiences are identical, but that's where the similarities end. Sarah had walked in with a smile, a spring in her step, and a positive outlook. It was plain for everyone to see. Her body language was open and optimistic. She had a delightful lunch, exchanged a few pleasant words with the waitress, and went back to work feeling recharged and energized.
Sam, on the other hand, had entered with a scowl on his face. He looked like he'd been sucking on lemons all morning. He was hunched over, tense, and his body language screamed, "Stay away from me." He was annoyed when the waitress didn't take his order immediately. He was annoyed by how long it took for his food to arrive. He complained about the meal, and he was furious when he didn't get his check right away. He left the coffee shop feeling even more frustrated and drained than when he arrived. Now, why did Sarah and Sam have such drastically different experiences when they were treated in exactly the same way? The answer is simple, and it's the first great lesson of this book. Your attitude is your window to the world. Think of your attitude as a mental filter. It's the lens through which you experience every single moment of your life. Sarah sees the world through a filter of optimism, a clean, bright window. She sees the glass as half full. Sam sees the world through a filter of pessimism, a dirty, smudged window. He sees the glass as half empty. The person with a negative attitude thinks, "I can't." The person with a positive attitude thinks, "I can." The negative attitude focuses on problems. The positive attitude concentrates on solutions. The negative finds fault in others. The positive looks for the good. The negative sees limitations. The positive sees possibilities. The fascinating thing is that we all start out in life with a clean mental window. Think about young children. They were always laughing, exploring, and filled with a sunny disposition. Consider a child learning to walk. When they stumble and fall, what do? They don't frown and blame the carpet. They don't point fingers at their parents for giving them bad instructions. They don't quit. No, they smile. They get back up and they make another attempt, and another and another. They keep going for weeks with an unwavering positive attitude until they get it right. Their window is squeaky clean, and they feel like they can conquer the world. But as we go through life, things start to happen. Life starts throwing dirt on our windows. Our windows get splattered by criticism from parents and teachers. They get smudged by ridicule from our peers. They get smeared by rejection. They get soiled by disappointments. They get clouded by doubt. The problem is, this dirt keeps building up, and far too many of us do nothing about it. We continue to go through life with a filthy, grimy window. We lose our enthusiasm. We become frustrated and depressed. And most tragically, many of us give up on our dreams, all because we failed to clean our attitude window. Jeff Keller admits that this was the road he was on as an attorney. The longer he stayed in a field that didn't fulfill him, the filthier his window got. He saw no possibilities because his window was splattered with the mud of negativity.
But then he learned the secret. He learned that all he had to do was clean his window. He had to improve his attitude so he could see the world clearly again. And once he removed that grime, a whole new world opened up. The frustration and depression lifted. He regained his confidence. For the first time in years, he could see the magnificent possibilities that life had to offer. He was able to make a career change into work he absolutely loves, the business of helping other people clean their windows. You and you alone control your attitude. It is your job to keep your window clean. Sure, others can offer encouragement, but in the end, nobody else can do it for you. You always have a choice. You can leave the filth on your window and look at life through a smeared glass, but the consequences are unhappiness, frustration, and achieving only a fraction of what you're capable of. Or you can choose to take out your mental squeegee and clean your window. When you do, life becomes brighter and sunnier. You'll be healthier and happier. You'll set ambitious goals and begin to achieve them. Your dreams will come alive again. Even in the face of the worst circumstances, as Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl so powerfully taught, the last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude. When it's all said and done, you alone control your attitude. And without a positive attitude, you can't activate the other principles of success. Your success in life begins and ends with your attitude. When you learn to keep your attitude window clear, the light comes pouring in, and you become unstoppable. Now let's move to the second powerful idea, which builds directly on the first. Earl Nightingale, a pioneer in the field of personal development, identified the key to success in just 6 words. These same 6 words are also the key to failure. Are you ready for them? Here they are. We become what we think about. Let that sink in. We become what we think about. This is the law of dominant thought. You are a human magnet, constantly drawing towards you the people, circumstances, and outcomes that align with your most dominant thoughts. This isn't a New Age concept. It's an ancient wisdom echoed by the greatest thinkers in history. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve." The Bible says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Henry Ford famously declared, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Here's how it works. If you constantly think about a particular goal, your mind, like a powerful guidance system, will begin to take steps to move you toward that goal. Let's say a person named Fred believes he's capable of earning $50,000 per year. Like a magnet, Fred will unconsciously attract employment opportunities, ideas, and connections that will move him in that direction. As long as Fred holds on to that dominant thought, he will eventually reach his goal. Now, what if Fred starts to think, "I'd like to earn $100,000 to better provide for my family"? Will his income increase? It depends entirely on his belief. If he only wishes he could earn that much, but doesn't truly believe he's capable of it, he will not reach the goal. His dominant thoughts are still rooted in doubt. However, if Fred continually thinks about earning the higher income, visualizes it, and truly believes in his ability to achieve it, he will in fact increase his income to $100,000. His actions will start to align with his new dominant belief. The key word here is dominant. You can't expect positive results when you spend 10 seconds a day thinking positively and the remaining 16 waking hours dwelling on negative outcomes and fears. A little bit of positive thinking doesn't produce positive results, just like a little bit of a diet doesn't work if you're pigging out on cake the rest of the day. A little bit just doesn't get the job done. You must take control of your mental activity and think positively throughout each and every day until it becomes your dominant thought pattern.
Jeff Keller shares a personal example. For years, he saw people in his area making a lot of money by purchasing and renting out investment homes. He thought he should do it too, but he never took any action. Why? Because his thinking was dominated by all the things that could go wrong. He had a lousy, negative attitude about it. But after he started studying the power of attitude, he decided to change his thinking. In the summer of 1986, he made a decision. He would purchase 2 investment homes by the end of the year. This time, he refused to allow any negative thoughts to creep in. For 6 months, he focused his thinking on one thing: owning 2 investment homes. He wrote his goal down every day. He believed at the deepest level of his being that he would do it. And by December 29th of that year, just 2 days before the deadline, he closed on his second investment home. The only thing that had changed was his attitude. His unshakable positive belief propelled him to take action. This is a critical point. Thought precedes action. He always knew what actions to take: contact realtors, visit properties, but he never took the first step as long as he had a negative attitude. The instant he changed his attitude, he felt compelled to act. Your circumstances today are a direct reflection of what you've been thinking about. If your thoughts don't change, your results won't change. So how do you change your thinking? For starters, become aware of your internal voice, the things you say to yourself all day. If you find yourself thinking, "I can't do this," or "I always mess things up," you are working against yourself. Instead, consciously repeat to yourself that you can and will accomplish your goal. Your mind hears every word you speak, and it will attract the events and circumstances that correspond to your dominant beliefs. Use positive words about yourself and your goals, because you will become what you think about. Let's dive deeper into this with the third major lesson: picture your way to success. The human mind thinks in pictures. When I say the word elephant, you don't see the letters ELEPHANT in your mind. You see an image of an elephant. This power of visualization is one of the most potent tools for programming your subconscious mind for success. When singer Celine Dion was asked if she ever dreamed she would sell millions of records and sing to massive crowds, she replied that none of it surprised her. She had been picturing the whole thing since she was 5 years old. World-class athletes do the same. They mentally envision a successful outcome before they ever achieve it in the real world. A figure skater sees herself landing the perfect jump. A golfer sees the ball flying long and straight down the fairway. This isn't something reserved for superstars. You have been using visualization your entire life, perhaps without even realizing it. We all store mental movies in our minds about the type of relationships we deserve, the degree of success we'll achieve at work, and the amount of money we'll earn. These pictures often come from our childhood. If we were criticized or felt unworthy as youngsters, we record those events as images in our minds. Because we frequently dwell on these pictures, we tend to create life situations that correspond to that original negative image. But here's the point that can change everything. You, and only you, are in control of your own movies. Let's try a quick experiment. Think about an ice cream cone with your favorite flavor. You can see it, can't you? Now, think about a pink elephant. In a fraction of a second, you formed an image of a pink elephant. You have control over the pictures that occupy your mind. When you don't consciously decide which pictures to play, your mind will simply look into its archives and keep replaying the old, often negative movies on file. The first step is to create new pictures. You must form a clear, vivid image of your desired outcome. You are limited only by your imagination. For example, most people are terrified of public speaking. When asked to give a presentation, their mental movie is one of standing nervously, forgetting their words, and being judged by the audience. With that mental image, failure is almost guaranteed. Instead, you must consciously create a new movie. Form a picture in your mind where you're confidently giving your presentation. The audience is listening to your every word. You look sharp. Your delivery is smooth. At the end, you get a warm round of applause. By persistently focusing on these new mental images, you will automatically start acting in ways that support your new vision. To make this even more powerful, you must relax and involve your senses. Your mind is most receptive to visualization when you are calm. Sit in a comfortable chair, close your eyes, and take some deep breaths to clear your mind. Now, as you develop your new images, involve as many senses as you can. If your dream is to own a beachfront house, don't just see the house. See the white and peach colors. See the green palm trees swaying. Smell the salt air. Feel the warm sand between your toes. Feel the sunshine on your face. Hear the gentle waves. The more senses you involve, and the more powerful the positive emotions you attach to the vision, the more pull it will have on you to make it a reality. A powerful technique to accelerate this process is to create physical visual aids. The famous story of actor Jim Carrey is a perfect example. In 1990, when he was a relatively unknown comedian, he wrote a check to himself for $10 million for acting services rendered and post-dated it for Thanksgiving 1995. He kept that check in his wallet and looked at it every day. It wasn't just about the money. It was a tangible representation of his goal. It programmed his subconscious mind. And in late 1994, he was paid $7 million for his role in Dumb and Dumber, and by 1995, he was earning $20 million per movie. You can do the same. Write a check to yourself. Create a sign with your goal on it and put it where you'll see it every day. Be careful, though, because this works both ways. A negative bumper sticker like, I owe, so off to work I go, is also programming your mind to keep you in debt. Take control of your mental movies, because what you picture is what you will get. If these ideas are already sparking something in you, if you're ready to start piling up this kind of wisdom and applying it to your own life, then take just a moment right now to support our channel, BookPiler, by hitting that subscribe button. It ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into a life-changing book, and it tells us that this is the kind of content that helps you grow. We appreciate your support more than you know.
Now we've talked about your thoughts and your mental pictures. Let's move to the fourth pillar, something that turns intention into reality. Make a commitment, and you'll move mountains. Many of us think we know what commitment is. We think it means trying hard or making a lot of attempts. But the true essence of commitment is something deeper. It is the willingness to do whatever it takes to accomplish your objective, excluding, of course, anything illegal, unethical, or harmful to others. It's a mental attitude that says, if it takes 5 steps to reach my goal, I'll take those 5 steps. If it takes 55 steps, I'll take those 55 steps. If it takes 155 steps, I will take those 155 steps. You don't need to know how many steps it will take at the outset. All that's necessary is that you make a commitment to do whatever it takes, regardless of the number of steps involved. This is where the magic begins to happen. The moment you truly commit, the universe seems to conspire to help you.
As the writer W.H. Murray said, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occurred to help one that would otherwise never have occurred." When you make a commitment, you begin to attract the people and circumstances necessary to achieve your goal. It's not that these resources never existed before, it's just that your mind was never focused on finding them. Once you commit, your mind goes to work like a magnet, attracting the events that will bring your vision into reality. Doors will unexpectedly open. You'll meet people you never could have planned to meet. It might seem like luck, but in truth, you have created these events by making a commitment. However, a word of caution. Even with commitment, the path won't always be rosy. Life will test you to see how serious you are. Obstacles will arise. You'll make mistakes and suffer setbacks. That's when it becomes crucial to remember the words of Winston Churchill. Never, never, never give up. One person with a commitment is worth more than 100 people who have only an interest. An interest is a "wouldn't it be nice" thought. A commitment is a whatever it takes reality. This leads us perfectly into our fifth lesson. Turn your problems into opportunities. When faced with a problem or a setback, what is your first reaction? If you're like most people, it's to complain. "Why did this happen to me? My plans are ruined." This response is natural. But after the initial disappointment, you have a choice. You can either wallow in misery and dwell on the negative, or you can look for the benefit or lesson that the problem is offering. Every adversity carries with it an equivalent or greater benefit. A problem is often not a problem at all. It may actually be an opportunity in disguise. Think about someone who gets laid off from a job they didn't really like. It feels like a disaster, but often that event forces them to start a new business they are passionate about, something they never would have done otherwise. What started as an adversity ended up as a golden opportunity. Think about a time you were rejected for a job you were sure was perfect for you, only to have a much better opportunity come along later. The earlier rejection was in fact a blessing. Adversity serves us in many ways. First, it gives us perspective. After recovering from a life-threatening illness, a flat tire doesn't seem so troubling anymore. Second, it teaches us to be grateful. You don't usually appreciate hot water until you don't have any. You don't cherish good health until you're sick. Third, adversity brings out our hidden potential. After overcoming an obstacle, you emerge emotionally stronger and discover abilities you never knew you possessed. It also encourages us to make changes, teaches us valuable lessons, opens new doors, and builds our confidence and self-esteem. The key is to look for the positive. Don't immediately judge your situation as a tragedy. Continually ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Believe it or not, your problems are there to serve you, not to destroy you. So the next time you suffer a setback, don't get discouraged. Clear off that cloudy window. You may find that after the dust settles, you can actually see better than you did before. Now we move from the internal world of the mind to its external expression, beginning with part 2 of the book's philosophy, which starts with lesson 6. Your words blaze a trail. Your words have incredible power. The words you consistently select will shape your destiny. Think of it as a row of dominoes. Thoughts lead to words, which reinforce beliefs, which drive actions, which produce results. Let's say someone has the thought, "I'm not very good at this." They repeat this thought over and over. Then they start to use words that support it, saying things like, "I'm never going to succeed," or "I just hate doing this." This, in turn, strengthens their belief that they are incapable. Because they don't believe in their ability, they take very little action, or their actions are unproductive,
And then, predictably, they get very poor results, which then reinforces their original negative thought, creating a vicious cycle. This entire process could have had a happy ending if they had simply chosen positive thoughts and reinforced them with positive words. This would have built a positive belief, which would have led to confident action and ultimately outstanding results. Don't underestimate the role of your words. People who feed themselves a steady diet of negative words are destined to have a negative attitude. Kent Cullers, a blind physicist for NASA, describes his condition as a trivial affliction and just barely an inconvenience. By using these words, he empowers himself to achieve great things, accomplishing more than many who have their sight. Your words program your reality. This brings us to one of the most practical and immediate changes you can make, covered in Lesson 7. How are you? It seems like such a small question, but we answer it dozens of times a day. And that short response tells a lot about you, and it can literally shape your attitude. Responses fall into 3 categories. First, there are the negative responses. Lousy, terrible, I'm tired, don't ask. When someone says, don't ask, you know you're about to hear a long list of complaints. These phrases poison your attitude and turn other people off.
Second, the mediocre responses. I'm okay. Not too bad. Same old, same old. Fine. People who use these words develop a mediocre attitude and get mediocre results. These words diminish your energy and project a listless image. Finally, there are the positive responses. Terrific. Fantastic. Great. I'm on top of the world. Those who use positive words like these have a bounce in their step. You feel better just by being around them. They light up a room. If you find yourself in the negative or mediocre group, consider revising your response. When you say you feel lousy, your physiology is affected. You tend to slump your shoulders and take on a depressed posture. You feel even more down. But when you respond with terrific, your physiology begins to correspond with your optimistic language. Your posture becomes more upright. Other people are attracted to your energy and vitality. You've set in motion a powerful principle. We get what we expect in life. But what if you don't feel terrific? The book tells a story of a woman named Sally who feels tired. When a coworker asks how she is, she honestly replies, I'm tired. This reinforces her belief. She feels even more fatigued, and she has a lousy, unproductive day. That evening, she's exhausted. But then she checks the lottery numbers and discovers she's just won $10 million. Suddenly, she's leaping out of her chair, screaming with joy, filled with the energy of a teenager. What happened? Her transformation was entirely mental. It was never about the truth of her fatigue. It was about what she chose to focus on. When we tell ourselves we're tired, we feel tired. When we tell ourselves we feel terrific, we feel energized. For the next month, try this experiment. When anyone asks how you are, respond with energy that you're great or terrific. Simply apply the act as if principle. Act as if you are positive, and soon you will find that you have, in fact, become more positive. The flip side of this is Lesson 8. Stop complaining. Nobody likes to be around a complainer. Complaining is counterproductive. It drags you and others down, reinforces your own suffering, and accomplishes nothing. The book tells the powerful story of Pedro, a man from Honduras, whose family lost everything in a hurricane. His family was living in a shelter with no clean water and rampant disease. Pedro had every reason in the world to complain, but he didn't. Instead, he focused his energy on helping, collecting money and clothing for relief organizations. He realized that complaining would be a terrible waste of his time and energy. His story is a profound reminder to keep things in perspective. The next time you're tempted to complain, pick up a pen and paper and start listing all the reasons you have to be grateful. It sure beats complaining. We've covered the mind and our words. Now we come to part 3, which is all about action, and it begins with a lesson that can change your trajectory faster than almost anything else. Lesson 9. Associate with positive people. You've probably heard the axiom, "Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are." There is profound wisdom in this statement. The people you surround yourself with have an enormous influence on your attitude and your life. In modern language, we see the terms toxic people and nourishing people.
Toxic people are the ones who always dwell on the negative. They are dream killers and energy vampires because they suck all the positive energy out of you. They will always try to drag you down to their level, barraging you with gloomy statements and hammering away at all the things you can't do. After spending time with them, you feel listless and drained. Nourishing people, on the other hand, are positive and supportive. They lift your spirits and are a joy to be around. They have an amazing energy that lights up a room. When you're around them, you start to pick up their attitude and feel an added strength to pursue your own goals. The author, Jeff Keller, tells the story about his friend Glenn Smokey Stover, who explained that human beings are like sponges. We soak up the attitudes of the people around us. If we spend time with someone who's negative, we sponge up the negatives, and it affects our attitude. The reverse is also true. When we hang around positive people, we soak up the positive. We feel better and perform better. It's crucial that you evaluate your friendships from time to time. Are you surrounding yourself with negative friends? If so, you must consider spending much less time with them or even no time at all. This may sound harsh, but there are consequences to spending time with negative people. You'll be less happy and less successful than you could be. Most negative people don't want to change. They just want someone to listen to their tales of woe. If you have a strong urge to be with these people, ask yourself why. You may be unconsciously choosing to hold yourself back. The same goes for the workplace. If you're having lunch every day with prophets of gloom and doom, stop. Find a diplomatic way to distance yourself. Eat at your desk, take a client to lunch, or sit at a different table. Make your lunch a positive experience. Remember, positive people are welcomed in any organization. Negative people are hurting their chances for advancement. Surround yourself with positive, nourishing people. They'll lift you up the ladder of success. This leads to the challenge of Lesson 10, confront your fears and grow. Motivational speaker Gil Eagles shared one sentence that changed the author's life. If you want to be successful, you must be willing to be uncomfortable. To achieve your goals and realize your potential, you must be willing to do the things you are afraid to do. That is how you grow. Successful people are not fearless. They are people who confront their fears and take action anyway. Each of us has a comfort zone, a zone of behavior that is familiar and safe. But growth only happens outside the comfort zone. When you face something outside of it, you feel nervous and afraid. Maybe for you, it's public speaking, or starting a new business, or asking for a promotion. Whatever that X on the outside of your comfort zone is, you must face it. When you back away from fear, you get one and only one benefit, a momentary avoidance of anxiety. But the price you pay is enormous. Your self-esteem is lowered. You feel powerless and frustrated. You sabotage your success. You lead an uneventful, boring life. Jeff Keller shares his own high school strategy of never asking anyone on a date. He was never rejected, but he also felt horrible about himself, was powerless, and had no social life. In reality, he was saying no to himself. It wasn't until he learned to confront this fear that his life began to change.
The key is to reframe the situation. The next time you face a scary situation, don't focus on the result. Instead, consider yourself an immediate winner the moment you take the step and do the thing you fear. Just by entering the arena and participating, you are a winner, regardless of the outcome. The moment you get up to speak, your knees may be shaking, but you have already won. Your self-esteem will be enhanced, and you will feel exhilarated. You are building your courage muscle. And when you expand your comfort zone in one area of your life, you develop confidence in other areas as well. And finally, we arrive at the culminating lesson, the one that ties it all together. Lesson 11, get out there and fail. This might sound strange in a book about success, but it is perhaps the most important lesson of all. The story of TV host Sally Jessy Raphael is a powerful testament to this. For 26 years, she couldn't pay her credit card bills. She moved 25 times looking for work. She was fired 18 times. She occasionally lived on food stamps and slept in her car. But she refused to give up on her dream, and she eventually became a massive success. She was willing to keep failing until she succeeded. As adults, we become terrified of failure. We see it as a bad thing rather than an essential part of the process of achieving a goal. But successful people have learned to fail their way to success. A top professional baseball player fails 70% of the time he comes to bat. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, missed half of the shots he took in his career. The founders of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, were rejected by 33 publishers over a period of 3 years before the 34th said yes, launching a series that has sold over 30 million copies. What sustained them through all those failures? Their attitude. With a negative attitude, they would have given up after the first rejection. But their attitude remained positive and upbeat. They knew that failure doesn't mean you've reached the end of the line. The only time success is impossible is when you quit. Quitting is final. Your failures are just learning experiences that point out the adjustments you must make. Never try to hide from failure, because that guarantees you will take no risks and achieve very little. Look failure squarely in the face and see it as a natural part of the success process. When you're not afraid to fail, you are well on your way to success. So, how does this all come together? It all comes back to the beginning. The author, Jeff Keller, flashes back to that night in 1985, sitting in his den, negative and depressed. Then he looks at where he is now, a successful speaker, traveling the world, living a life he loves. The answer to how came to him loud and clear. I changed my attitude. When you change your attitude, sparks fly in the universe. You become energized. You see new possibilities. You move into action. You achieve extraordinary results. That is why when you change your attitude, you change your life. The final, lasting message of this book is best captured in the profound words of Dr. Charles Swindoll, which I want to leave you with today. He wrote, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. Now is the time to take control of your attitude. Now is the time to start creating miracles in your own life. Go ahead. Believe in yourself. Have the courage and persistence to follow your dreams. And above all, never, never forget that attitude is everything.